William Wagener here at the Orange County Ronald Reagan Federal Courthouse, reporting for On Second Thought. Judge David Carter has just decided not to throw this case out, but to set a scheduled time for motions to be put into court for preliminary and for discovery. He's laid out the dates. He set the time, the next time to be October. He expected, I think, for the judge to acquiesce and say, oh, really? You sent me a motion at the last minute Friday? Oh, I'll read it and I'll grant it right now. That didn't happen. And from my reading of federal judges, it looks like not only does Judge Carter have a sense of humor, as he motioned Mr. Grief to move closer to Orly Tate's in the courtroom, physically move closer, and he ordered them to work together whether they want to or not. Because he made a point of saying, I don't want this delayed because the whole nation is waiting on whether Obama really does have a right to be president or doesn't. And either way, it was important to move this along. Orly Tate, standing here on my right, is real clear that she cannot work with Mr. Griff. And Mr. Griff is real clear he doesn't want to work with her, whatever it is. They were ordered to take a break, to get together with their plaintiffs and come together. They came in and still were not in some kind of agreement. The Judge Carter ordered them to work together nevertheless. And he made a point that even if her avenue of removing Obama and her reason is totally opposite to that of Mr. Griff, both arguments could be sorted out by the judge, and the judge could make a ruling deciding either she's right, he's right, or they're both right, or neither one is right. He made that point very clear. And the U.S. attorneys, the two of them, have declined to step up to the mic and make a statement. But they felt they got out of here with the skin of their teeth. And it was really clear as I watched their face as they left the courtroom, they didn't get what they thought they were going to get. And that was slipping that motion in Friday at the last minute, objecting to subject matter jurisdiction. And there's another tact, it's called, it's a political question. And I think if they rule it's a political question, the answer is, yes, it's a political question, therefore the courts have no jurisdiction. On that, I want to get a statement from Orly. How are you going to answer that when you see this motion, Orly?
Clearly, this is not a political question. If somebody lies in his declaration of a candidate for president, this is not politics, this is fraud. And fraud is something that needs to be adjudicated in court. And if a person committed fraud, then clearly he cannot hold the position that he obtained by fraud. As simple as that. If the judge finds on the facts if the facts show that fraud was committed, and we know that it was committed, we know that Mr. Obama's father was never a U.S. citizen. Both parents have to be citizens at the time of the child's birth. We know that he did not provide any information, any corroborating evidence. So this is a matter of facts. This is the matter of whether fraud was committed, whether treason was committed. Those are issues that are adjudicated in court. So first, we need to get this cleared up, the matter of fact. And as a matter of fact, we had great precedents where two senators were removed from office under quo warranto, under the 20th Amendment. If the president fails to qualify, then the vice president becomes only pro tempore president, and until the new president is chosen, which means that we would have a special election. So this is the matter of fact. U.S. Attorney's Office has to provide something. Typically, when you have a case, defendants will file a motion to dismiss. 99% of the cases it's done. And as Judge Carter rightfully stated, 96% of the cases it's denied. So they did something that they had to do. And let's hope that it will be denied. We'll continue. And the judge has provided a schedule for motions, for preliminary hearing, for trial. Everything is set to go, and he has given clear indication that there is a very good possibility, even after he takes his time to review the motion. Clearly he did not add rule in their favor today, and even when he has more time, he will not rule in their favor.
Thank you very much. I want to add that the judge made this statement 3 or 4 times to the government prosecutors, both of them. He said, you may win this battle and lose the war. And he repeated that several times and tried to coach the government attorneys into letting this witness, Lucas Smith, who just showed you the Kenyan birth certificate, let him testify so they would have a heads up on what's coming in the court trial. And they didn't want to go there. And it was really clear the judge was nudging them, saying you may win this minor motion here and lose the war. So I think that adds a tremendous amount of credibility, something Philip Berg, I don't think, ever reached that on the East Coast in his motions to challenge usurper. I have to say, based having seen the evidence, I would now have to say he's a usurper president as a matter of record that I've seen it with my own eyes. And I've heard the testimony here with my own ears. Whether the court recognizes it or not, I, as a media person, have seen it. And so we do have a usurper president. My main worry, are we going to go through a long chain of temporary Vice President Biden, then Nancy Pelosi, and then what happens to our country while they're all changing heads, and we have a Congress that would not even think of impeaching or looking at the evidence Orly Tates has brought forth. What do we do with a Congress that corrupt? I don't have all those answers, but I think it starts with county special grand juries, with private attorney generals not coming out of your county district attorney's office who have failed in 3,000 plus counties to step up to the plate. So with that, I want to remind you that I was the only reporter in the Michael Jackson trial that said in April, 2 months before the jury, he's going to be found not guilty on all 10 charges, because I'm watching the Main Street media spin the thing and try to say he's guilty when in fact every witness was torn apart on the stand and proved to be a liar. Also want to point out that I was the first one to say Mike Corona, sheriff of this county where we're standing now, Orange County, had dirty hands in the murder of Andrea Nelson by filing his coroner's report, because he's sheriff and coroner, and I said, this guy's dirty. He has not yet been indicted for accessory to the murder of Andrea Nelson. But I was the first one to say there's something very wrong there, because we've got the forensic pathologist saying this report is wrong. Now, of course, Sheriff Mike Corona, who was originally elected to clean up the sheriff's office, has been booted out. He was convicted of 1 charge in the federal courthouse. I think it was this federal courthouse. And it was carefully set up so on appeal, it was dismissed. And he's walking free today, even though he's convicted in federal courthouse. Nevertheless, I'm just pointing out, if I had to take a bet based on what I've seen, I would say if it goes to a trial on the merits, based on what I've seen in the Michael Jackson trial, what I said on Sheriff Mike Corona, based on what I've seen in the evidence that Orly Tates has presented both in studio and here today, Orly Tates is going to win this, and she's going to prove in court, beyond anybody's question, that Barack Hussein Obama does in fact not have the right to hold office. And if he doesn't, then Biden probably doesn't have a right to be vice president, because he was handpicked by Barack Obama. Where that leaves us constitutionally, that's up for the legal scholars. I'm William Wagener for On Second Thought. Thanks for watching here as we speak from the Federal Reagan Courthouse in Orange County, California. Keep watching.